Alright commanders, do you find yourself feeling slightly lazy when playing this game? Maybe you have a home set up and you don't want to play Nikke in your TV, or you have a phone but you don't want to use your fingers? Well, there's a guide for you. It may be dumb for some of you, but I find that there's always a crowd for whatever reasons for this niche. I do have to mention though that this will be a learning curve for some of you, so from my personal experience, I felt comfier doing this than using my fingers to play on my phone. I am playing on my PC right now, but you can use this on your phone after we're done setting it up, so but yeah, you can do a lot of things here with the controller, see? I'm using a controller right now. Notice how my mouse cursor is very smooth. Very smooth. You can tell I'm on a controller, basically. I can also take cover too, see? Everything, you can do everything that you can do on PC pretty much. You can also swap cover here, say quick swap. Boom, 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 boom. Back to you. Very interesting, right? Hopefully you guys are hooked at this point, or interested or curious. So let's jump right into it. First things first, we are gonna be getting a program called Rework. So you're gonna go to this website right here, and then you're gonna basically try for free. This program isn't free, but there are other alternatives. So such as like Joy X Free or something like that. I think that's the name of it. I'm sure you guys can find alternatives for this, but essentially what it does is it simulates mouse and keyboard input to your controller, and you can get this program for free for 7 days. Otherwise you have to pay. They do have a lifetime license, which costs around $56 or something like that, so it is probably worth it for some of you. Maybe not for Nikke, but for other case use. So you're gonna get it, install it. Once you're in, you're gonna be met with this page, you could say. Well, let's just start from the top. So you would add a game profile here, and you would make a Nikke profile here. Then you're gonna be met with this specifically. So how are we gonna do this? So this is our controller. I'm using a PS4 controller. We will be inputting a lot of inputs here into the controller. Your analog sticks here should be your mouse moving to the right, right? You want it to go to the right, so you're gonna set this to the right. We don't want a right mouse button here. We're not trying to click. So we're looking for keyboard input. So what we're gonna do, or mouse input specifically. So here we go. So mouse right, and then we're gonna do mouse up, mouse down, mouse left. Me personally, I like to have both of these, especially for Nikke, because there's a lot of nuance, and I am a sweat lord, so I do like to min-max my mobility, you could say. So for this right here, I will be using C, because C is cover for Nikke. So like, sorry, not C, space. We're gonna be using space. Here we go, boom. And then here, we're gonna use C for the middle Nikke. I think that's my quick swap, basically. Good for my muscle memory. Now you guys can tweak this after we're done here, but I am just showing you what my preferences are. So there. So now when I press down this analog stick, my C is going to simulate my C key, which will go to Alice in the back here. So far we have the movement stuff set up on this right side. We're going to do the same for the left side. So you want it to go right, you want this to go left, you want your mouse to go up, and you want your mouse to go down. Everything is done right there. You have these buttons, right? You have options. You can set this. I like to set this to my auto burst. I don't usually use auto burst, but if I'm just, doing my dailies, whatever, like I'm auto bursting, I don't care, I'll just use this. Or like I'm watching story, there's some buttons that does line up with the story. So we're gonna be looking for this bracket here, the right bracket. And then for this one, it should be tab. So there you go. We have, I think the skip button was T, or like the auto mode was T or something like that. We're just gonna put it to T there. And then for my X here, I like to use X as like my left click when I'm, just interacting with story without auto mode. This is also gonna be my left click. So we're gonna set this to left click here. Left mouse button. And then for these here, I'm actually gonna set them to my burst skills. So your burst is basically A, S, D, and F. There's always F sometimes in certain comps if you're a freak. So I like to do this. So if I have burst 1, burst 2, burst 3, I can just do a down, 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 and then it'll burst in that order. And then I'm gonna set my second burst to my S here, so in case I need to do a burst 3, I would do down, down, left as my personal preference. For my burst, if I need to burst with my D, I would use D on my right here, which is really rare, but I have it there just in case. Same for F. I don't typically use D and F. I do find myself doing it sometimes in solo raid, but yeah. So this is my burst here. This is my interactive stuff, you could say. Now, we have all the movement, we have the burst, we have more movement on the left. So right, these buttons here, again, you're free to customize it yourself here, okay? But so these buttons are my escape buttons in case I do need to utilize a pause tick. And I notice how I'm using two of the movement stuff because I alternate between my thumbs in case I sweat. So I will be using pause tech here. We're missing shooting and cover. We have two covers so far, C and space. I like to put my cover on these buttons here. For example, I want to put cover on my Z, right? I wanted to cover my crown back here. My Z would be, actually, I like to put my Z down here. So my Z would be down here, just so I can touch it better or faster. Again, it is a learning curve, so you have to get used to like using a little bit of your fingering skills, no pun intended. And then I'm not really gonna swap to her too much, so I will have X up here. Anyways, point is, I like to put like my most used swappable Nikke on my closest touchpad. My next most used would be my B, which is like my position 5. Boom. And then we have Z, X, C. We're missing V. So V would be up here. I don't typically use V either, so it goes up top. My controller's inactive for a while, so it disconnected itself, but ignore that. Looking for V here, so everything is set up so far, except for the shooting. Now the shooting, before we start with the shooting, we need to mess with our mouse sensitivity here. Your analog sticks has its own movement speed. Just think of it as kind of like a mouse sensitivity for the controller, right? So, or like controller, cursor sensitivity, whatever you call it. We will be changing these values here to essentially 0 or 1, because we do not want any type of acceleration. 0 is the best here. And then my mouse sensitivity for my controller, again controller, is gonna be 4. So my mouse cursor will be slow, but not too fast. As you can see here, see, it's not too slow, it's not too fast. I would say this is pretty decent speed. Again, adjust it to your liking here, but mouse acceleration, mouse initial speed should definitely be the lowest, unless you like acceleration on your controller for some reason. Now, for these buttons here, your right trigger, normally when you play FPS shooter on your controller, right, you want to use this as your shooting, right? You would set this to your shooting, to your left click. You know, I can never find these stuff. Okay, so my left mouse button here, so this is your left click, and then there's my right click. Oops, sorry, that's mouse right. So notice how I have left click and right click together. By doing this, you can simulate fast shooting on Alice or sniper without getting, you know, let's say you got good at it and you're really consistent with, you know, shooting fast. If you just do one button, the game is gonna detect your input as macro. You know, there are cases where like actual humans on phone and PC that does this legitimately, they've been flagged for using macro even though they didn't. So the reason, if you do left click and right click together, right, or like you weave them together, you can also like increase your chance of consistency rather than just doing left click. It's more consistent that way, and also it makes you less susceptible to macro. So notice how I didn't have the top right trigger and I probably have this word wrong, but and the top left trigger set. I will let you guys customize with these. I will not be discussing any more of what else you can do with this program and helping you guys set up this controller for your leisure uses. I'm not gonna tell you what more you can do with it. Wink wink. If you know, you know. I'm gatekeeping this information, alright? So yeah. So I'm gonna save it. I will have this down in the link for you guys to download, so you guys don't have to do all the setup personally. You can just, I think there's like an import option here. So if you click add game, I think they'll ask you to import. Oh, right here. So it'll ask you to import your profile. So you can just import it and you can customize this to your liking. So I'm gonna save this and then apply it. Once I applied it, let's go into the game and let's use my controller. Notice I'm on my controller again. See, I'm shooting with my left and right trigger right now. You know, bursting. Yeah, we're bursting. We can also, again, we can do the pause tech here too. See, notice how my stuff is still moving. I am still pause teching. See, I can do that. I can move it. See, it's really convenient here. Also, if you want to increase your DPS here, right, with a controller, I do find having sync cursor and crosshair off much more comfier than using this on, because you are literally gonna be aiming with your thumb. So, watch, I'm gonna aim with my thumb. Man, look at this. So, I would rather have you guys have that off versus on here. Also, you're doing less core shots here too, so. See, I'm not really consistent with my fast shooting yet, but I'm mostly consistent, right, to get more DPS here. See, I'm still like a little rusty with it, but I wouldn't say rusty, but you know, it's definitely more damage than the mobile, unless you're really good at fingering with your thumb for some reason because you're a freak. But yeah, there are some freaks out there. I've seen some dude clearing Kraken with his phone. Yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen that too. So, anyways, I'm just yapping, but I'm just showcasing you guys on how this works here. So, you go switch to my Scarlet here, go back to Alice, boom, boom, put a Naga. Yeah. So, anyways, that's the whole tutorial. And if you guys like the video, make sure you guys like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, because yeah, I was doing quite a lot of research on this. You know, like sometimes when you're just lazy, you know. America, am I right? You guys have a good one, Commanders.